All I wanted was one friend, just one. But the problem that I had in 10th grade was that Mom had divorced Dad, and we'd moved 4 times in 4 years, and I knew absolutely nobody at the high school that I was going to. So, but actually there was another problem, and that was Mom. My mom was a little weird. She smiled too much. She tended to giggle at all the wrong moments, and she liked to take care of needy creatures, including baby animals. She once rescued a baby opossum that hissed at us from the counter every time we walked by. And I had started to make some headway on the friends front after I joined the swim team. I hated the practices, hated them. Spent all the time scheming on how to get out of them, but I stuck with it because being on the swim team had one big advantage, and that was that it put me in with other kids, good kids, ones with normal mothers. So the swim team and the cross-country team, they went to their meets together, and one time after we got home, one of these guys named Joe comes up to me and he says, would you like maybe to have a date? Yes, I said, because it was my first date. And then I got home and I told Mom, and she says, oh, great, I'll have to meet him. So on Friday night, Joe drives up in his white truck. He drives up to our house. Well, it's not our house because we live in an apartment, and it's not even our apartment because we live in the projects. And Joe comes in, and Mom sits him down at the Formica table in our tiny kitchen, and she says, oh, I want to show you something. And she goes and she gets a box, and she proceeds to pull out her latest rescue, a baby squirrel that she found on the ground by the dumpster near our unit. And she picks up the baby squirrel and she puts it on the table in front of Joe, and it's hideous looking. It's got a gigantic bony head, and it looks like a rodent chemo patient. And Joe backs away from the table a little bit, and just then, the squirrel takes 2 tentative steps forward and lifts its tail and takes a crap on the table in front of him. And now Joe is really away from the table, and I hustle us out, and we go on a date, and it's pretty forgettable. I think he took me to Burger King. But I remember the end of the day with great clarity because Joe drove us up to the apartment, and he parked the truck, and then he leaned in for a kiss. A real kiss with tongues and everything. And I was loving it. I thought this was great. But then Joe goes, ugh, your tongue is gigantic, like a horse's. I didn't know what to do. I gathered myself up and I went back to my weird mother, who was also very kind. And I thought, well, is my tongue really that bad? I had no basis for comparison. And how does Joe know what a horse's tongue feels like anyway, right? So he never asked for another date, of course, and I thought I was done with the whole horrid scene. But then the next week, the cross-country and the swim teams are going off to another meet, and when we're coming back, the swim team and the cross-country team, they do these chants back and forth. And the one that the swim team liked to do was munch, munch, munch. Cross-country brought their lunch. Eat it, cross-country, eat it. So you see where this is going, right? So I'm enthusiastically joining in, and I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm chanting back with the other swim team members, but then all the members of the swim team drop out, leaving me entirely alone, standing up, chanting at Joe and the cross-country team, saying, eat it, cross-country, eat it. And all of the boys take not a second, and they start saying, eat at Joe's, because evidently Joe told the entire cross-country team about our date. And to this date, I don't know what he said. I was mortified all over again. I hunched up in my chair, I turned around, I looked out the window with tears running down my face, trying to pretend like everything was okay. But there was a happy ending to the story, because when I got home and later on, a really good-looking guy named Dana Gordon comes up to me and he says, look, I'm sorry. "We didn't mean to make you feel bad. Would you like to go on a date?" And he invites me on a date, and he becomes my friend, my boyfriend. He takes me to football games and to meet his parents at home, and I can assure you that he had no problems with the way I kissed.